It's the Breaking Atoms podcast where we break things down to the very last compound. My name is Sumit, aka your goat's favourite British guy.
And my name is Chris Mitchell, aka the actual facts will abound today.
So we're in the groove now. We're swinging, right? The rust is off. The WD-40's on.
Come on.
The creaks of the door have gone.
Yep.
We all the rust is off now. We're in full swing.
We're rocking.
Okay. How you feeling, man?
Bro, I feel great, man. I just had some food. Yeah, man, I'm really excited about this. This interview is with someone whose name, you know, I'm a liner notes fiend, right? And so are you. So when you sent me the text to say this person has agreed to do the interview, I had to pull out some records, bro, some archives from the treasure trove. You know what I mean? Some Brady Grand stuff, some deep stuff, bro.
Okay, so you went into the DuckTales treasure trove. I hate.
I went there.
Okay, so let's get into it. So our guest today, I guess the best way to describe our guest today is someone who facilitates art within the culture. A big year hip hop, but he facilitates art within the culture and has done for, I don't know, maybe 20 years, 15, 16 years, but a long time. We're talking about 30 plus Wu-Tang albums, worked with your favorite rappers, Keith Murray, Crooked I, Bronze Nazareth. Corrupt performed at his wedding. He just had a new project out with Corrupt. Yeah. You know, Snoop. He's a record holder, Chris. Ladies and gentlemen, he's a record holder, right? For two things, right? There's two things. One, he got a record today. He's got a new record today. But the previous one,
the Guinness World Record is my freestyle record. That was in the books.
Correct.
So the longest freestyle rap I had from 2009 to 2011. What could be a Guinness World Record if I applied for it and all that, and you know, it's every year I keep working, we'll just get bigger and better. But I have the most Billboard Top 100 placements as an independent A&R.
Okay, so
that's a flex.
So that's a flex, and that's another record. But the other record is on Breaking Atoms. That's the other record.
Yeah,
people come in here. That's a record in itself. So we're talking to none other than A&R extraordinaire M.A. How you doing, man?
Hey, I'm great. You know, so I haven't slept yet from the night before. But
okay.
Yesterday I slept till like 5:30 p.m., which is unheard of. And my wife did all the parenting duties and stuff. And I've been working and I did all the late night feeds for my daughter. And I just had my first kid. And so I was feeding from about 11 to 7 in the morning. And I've already put in a full day of work. And, I'll sleep later.
I know what that's like.
Yeah.
I know what that's like. I
had like 3 coffees already.
Yeah. So I know what that was like. I used to do the same when my kid was born. I didn't sleep in the night, and I would just maybe sleep a couple of hours and then just do the whole day. I did that. It's a crazy thing.
Yeah.
But let me ask you something before we get into the real interview. How has fatherhood kind of changed for you, or in your working? Has it put a fire at your belly even more, or has it just adjusted things for you?
I've been planning, like I've wanted to be a parent for years. And I've kind of mapped out like my entire life ever since I was in high school. I've lived by like 5-year plans because I learned that from RZA. Like literally since then, since my high school years, like 96 to 2000, and every 5-year plan I've had has gone according to plan. I make the next plan. The only thing that was the variable was when I was going to have my first kid, and I'm 41 now, and I thought that would have been by when I was like 35, 36. So I've been planning for it financially, mentally, physically, like all that, all the proper preparation, for 5 or 6 years. So it's like, couldn't be more happy, saved the money, built the happy home. And yes, I'm having to adjust my hours. But thus far, my daughter's 7 months old, and it has not affected, my business side of things at all. I'm clearly not leaving the house as much, like maybe once a week, and it has to be necessary. When I have work trips, like I need to let my wife know, like as far in advance as possible. Like Snoop is going to do a tour with Dog Pound and Obi Trice and D12 and a few others, and a few dates in Australia, a few dates in New Zealand. And that's in like the end of February through the beginning of March. So I I need to do this. So, my flight's booked, all that shit's booked, the work's already set aside and all of that. But hey, I want to go see the show Saturday night. She's like, no, you need to be here. So, that's how it goes. That's the only thing that's changed. I was, constantly out of the house because I need to go to the concerts. I need to go to the sporting events. I need to go to the networking events, all that stuff. And that's how, especially in Los Angeles, new connections are made. Thank God for me, I'm already so solidified in my position. The internet is also a happy medium for me.
Yeah, absolutely. No, well, congrats. And
congratulations.
Yeah, no, it's a wonderful thing. Before I hand over to Chris, I have one question to ask you before I hand over to Chris now. M80 versus the average A&R. Talk me through it. Like it's a versus battle. What's the difference between you and average A&R?
To me, the answer is this. For the average A&R, you fall into potentially 1, 2, or 3 categories. 1, you applied for a music job at a label, and whether you had experience or not, you are told this is your job role. If you're an A&R for a label, essentially it's go out and find talent. Here's a list of it used to be way more just like open-ended, like literally go find us the best talent. Because in the 90s, that's what it was. The golden era of rap brought about the best talent. Because A&Rs were looking for people, label executives were signing people that were just like, you are it. Like, just off the talent. The internet wasn't a thing. Like, say, what are your streaming analytics or download analytics? That didn't exist. It was literally about like, I think you were just phenomenal. We'll never get back to that. Like, that was just a whole anomaly. If you lived through the golden era of rap, safe to say you lived through the best period in time, okay? So, A&Rs and label now, they have this list of, like, it's like a checklist. Like, when I do my taxes, I have a checklist of what's deductible and not. So, go out and find this. And after you find them and you think they're great, do they meet the criteria of this checklist? And it's about streams and followers and views and sales and media-based history and Polestar history. That, and then if it meets that criteria, then pass it to an executive, and then the executives go through and fine-tooth comb it. Then if you get to the executives, then a deal can be put in place. So that's one. You're told what to do. Okay, that's your job. You get paid a salary. The second form of A&R is like the artist is an independent and they want to just give a job to like a friend or a family member. Okay, you know, this is what like put your team on, put your people on, because ultimately the team, especially if it's close knit like that, has your best interest in heart. I have no qualms with that. I know plenty of artists that are made millions and millions of dollars to just starting out, like all ends of the spectrum, that they gave that A&R position to a family member or a friend, and it's worked out for them. Me, I've had job offers from record labels. I worked, the only label I've ever worked for was RBC Records. I was the VP of A&R. Ultimately, how I work and run my business, Holy Spirit Productions, and, you know, how they run as a label, there's conflicting interests. And I'm never going to give up running my company because I've spent almost 20 years now building it, right? So that's the only label I've worked for. But I had offers from Def Jam. I had offers from E1, few others, different studios and stuff like that that would allow me to still run my company. But ultimately, like even at RBC, at best, I was going to the office once a week, like when you need me. But, you know, I was doing it like how I was running records to them before I was a VP of A&R. Here's a list of what I'm working on. What do you want and what don't you want? You get what you want. If the deal makes sense, I'll take the rest and keep going from label to label to label. And that's how I do with Fat Beats. That's how I do with Cleopatra, with RBC, with Baby Grand, with Nature Sounds, like you name it. So I'm more comfortable in my skin, in my position, because when you see me put my name on a product, like I built that record. So I do, my full job as an A&R is album construction, legal admin, which is all the copyrights, royalties, publishing, sample clearances, licensing deals, contract reviews, all that shit. Then I shop the deal, the record label deal, the distribution deal. And then once we land the home, then I have a whole new list of responsibilities, like PR coordination, radio coordination, tour booking, tour management, licensing, that kind of shit. So I'm way more passionate about the records, the artists, making sure everyone gets a fair shake, because it wasn't like a stranger. Like I didn't just find this person and be like, wow, this is what we're going to do. And then let me pass the buck so I get my commission and my salary. Like I am personally involved from day, like that's how I prefer. I don't want you to hire me to shop a record that you did independently of me. And it kind of undercuts like the importance of having me involved. I like to build the records with the artist, and that's the difference. Now, I gained a lot of clients for 2 reasons. The success of my very first project as an A&R, Wu-Tang Meets the Indie Culture in 2005, was the second highest selling independent album of the year, not just in rap, across all genres of music, rock, country, R&B, hip hop, boom, that's a fact. So a lot of people want to know two things. Who was responsible for this record? I see M80's name on it, I see RZA's name on it, I see Freddy Krueger's name on it. Everyone played their part. Then artists would come to me and find out, you're in law school? I was one out when we did that record. Like, I was there for RZA MF Doom. My first day in the studio was Sean Price, rest in peace. C. Ray's Walls, You Got Prodigal Son. Like, you know, I was doing anything and everything that needed to be done. Reviewing of contracts, literally taking checks and running them to people's offices, getting vinyls pressed up and running them to different labels and radio stations when that was still a thing. And then from Wu-Tang Culture, we moved on to Wise Man and Bronze Nazareth and GZA. But then artists and labels both were like, we want to work with you. Like, what else do you have cooking? And some of the reasons were because, you know, they thought maybe they could offer me less, or I didn't have as much experience as, say, RZA or Dreddy. And other reasons were maybe they were just sick of dealing with Dreddy. Like, that was, like, Baby Green came to me like, we don't want to work with them. We'll give you, the first check they ever offered me was for 6 figures. And, but I couldn't take it. Like, they wanted Wu-Tang Culture 2, they wanted Almighty, and they wanted Bronze's sophomore album, which became
School for the Blind Man.
School for the Blind Man. And ultimately, we did the deal for School for the Blind Man and Almighty, but we put more money into making Wu-Tang Culture 1. And anytime you do like a sequel, like, you know, Heist of the Century 2, Liquid Swords 2, some shit like that, Heavy Mental 2, if that ever happened, like, you don't want it to be. You like, fans will already look at it like, this can't be as good as the first. So it's like, if we're working with less money, then it makes no sense. Like, I'm not trying to tarnish that legacy, like making a sequel to a movie that fucks up the legacy of the first. But I got the best end of both sides of the coin on that. So yes, artists kept fucking with me because you're in law school. Tell me, like, what separates you from the other A&Rs. My specialty is intellectual property, advanced contracts, civil litigation. So I mastered the business of music. I never took the bar. So I have my law degree. I'm like Matthew Markoff JD versus Matthew Markoff Esquire, ESQ at the end of my name. So I do everything a lawyer does for my clients. The only thing I can do is when we have to take something to court, like sue your record label or, you know, going for back royalties or whatever. Cool, I can draft everything that needs to be drafted. Then we hire counsel and you have to pay the hourly and the retainer, that kind of stuff. Otherwise, I became a one-stop shop. So I proved that time and time again with the Wu-Tang releases. That moved on to the Cannabis releases and Crooked Eye releases and Planet Asia releases and Haas Kingpin. And it never stopped. And, you know, I couldn't be more proud of it. And I love the fact that other A&Rs and music executives that I grew up admiring, but, you know, give me my flowers in real time.
Amazing. I just want to say, I felt a twinge of excitement because you said Heist of the Century 2, and for a moment I thought, is he doing
happening.
Heist?
That's happening. Here's the thing. You know, when time goes by, like how Kanye, like, always, like, in real time tweaks an album mix, or like you like take a mix down or up on it. In my opinion, Heist of the Century 2 has been done for like 3 years, maybe 4. Okay. But it's Law's second ever album. So when it was like, okay, we're going to drop it in like 2020, and then COVID hits. Okay, we can't drop it. Do you want to work on something else? Well, not really. I mean, yeah, yes and no, but like anything I do has to be big because it's going to be whatever the next album is the second album. Okay, he did a bunch of mixtapes and stuff like that, but Law's always been an executive as well. Like, Law was signed to Wu-Tang when he was a kid like Shaheed. So if you can't tour an album like Hiest of the Century 2, you're not going to maximize its visibility, its profitability, its marketability, all that. So if we can't tour, pump the brakes. But, I mean, there was a photo I posted when Wu-Tang Clan was the first ever rap group to perform at the Ryman Theater in Nashville. And of course, it sold out. The next day, me and Law got together and went through all the album mixes. That was like 2, 3, 4 years ago. So, in my opinion, it's been done since then. If he wants to go and switch shit up, but it's fucking dope. And he used a lot of the same ingredients of Heist of the Century 1, which is what fans want. Fans hate when, like, you know, oh, you're going to do a Supreme Clientele 2, but not include like RZA. Like, you know, I'm not saying that's the case, but it's like they want the ingredients to be similar. Not exactly 100% the same. It can taste a little different, it can be a little bit more flavorful, but you can't exclude what, you know, made it great in the first place. So Law has like, you know, the Bugs element, the Havoc element, the Carlos Brody element, that kind of shit, which fans, of course, will love when they finally hear it. Hopefully in the next 365 days of it great. You know,
I'm telling you,
there's
that
a lot
album,
of records on the table.
That album, I was 17 years old. I bought that album, like, dude, Hiest of the Century, man. I stand by the album. Carlos Brody is different. He's different. He's very different.
The thing about La is he's also a really good guy too. That's the other thing. Like,
oh, he's great.
He's a great guy, bro.
I don't remember what I went to bed. I used to go to record stores specifically knowing like, okay, I'm going to go buy this today. I don't remember what I went to Best Buy for. It was not the Law of the Darkman album. But I remember walking through the aisle. You know, this is what Best Buy had, like hundreds of fucking rap albums and stuff, and just albums, period. And seeing the giant purple Wu-Tang W and not knowing what it was. I'm like, I have to have this as a Wu-Tang fan. And I think that's what, like, was the similar scenario for a lot of fans. Like, you didn't know who Law was yet, but here's this album, there's a W on it. And that album was like independent gold. I think to date it's done with 400,000 record sales. Maybe, I mean, with streaming, it's got to be like at least 500,000 now. But like literally, people bought that record in cassette. I have it on cassette, CD, and vinyl. So,
wow,
you know.
Wow. I wanna go back. You mentioned Think Differently, the Wu-Tang meets the indie culture. That record was really pivotal for me because it's around about the time where I was using the internet to kind of feed my music taste. See, I've got my CD. I might grab it in a bit. So this record here, right? You know, Little Brother, The Listening, all those albums. I had my own computer, my modem. I'm in my room, just soaking up all this stuff. Have you got any memories from those recording sessions? And were there any songs that you wanted to put together for that album that didn't happen?
Okay. We're in the studio one day. The album, I believe, is like 90. We already did the deal. This is after we did the deal with Baby Grant. So we got the money. When we did the deal, we were recouped plus already in profit, which happens, which was traditional. Like, that's what signing a deal is for. That's the goal. You want to, if you're taking in advance, you want to be made whole and already profiting way before the album comes out. Okay. So we did the deal, Baby Graham. This is definitely, I think, the last day I was in the studio. The head of the studio, it was Planet to Planet Recordings, comes and tells Drenny that, like, his most recent check bounced, and it's for thousands of dollars. So he tells me, take my key, or like my spare key, go to my apartment and get my checkbook. And I'm like, okay. Now I only lived in New York. I lived in New York for 3 summers. That was it. I didn't, like, during the years I lived in San Francisco when I was in law school. So I wasn't like super proficient in getting around. I just like would hop on any subway and like figure it out, like get off where I can and like walk or whatever. I wasn't taking cabs, and Ubers weren't a thing yet. So I get there. By the time I get there, he was already there. And I'm like, how would you beat me? Like, didn't make sense. Oh, well, the dude was getting handsy with me and I beat the shit out of him. And I was like, fuck it. I ain't paying for this. He whooped the dude's ass, got back to his place, was chilling before I even got there. It made no sense to me. But like I said, I'm not from there, so it probably took me way longer to figure it out. And if I had to get his checkbook and come back, like, who knows what would happen. There was that. As far as what songs didn't make the cut, that was a few scenarios. There wasn't a lot of records we did for Wu-Tang Indie Culture that didn't make it. I remember there was Priest, who you definitely would have thought would have been on the album. Him and Dreddy were like this. There's none of Priest verses made the project. There was a song that Mos Def was supposed to get on for Jizz's Pro Tools. I remember the reference, but that didn't end up making it. Then I think the song like Slungs Under My Papyrus or something like that, that was the one with Rock Marciano and Bronze and Priest. that was either supposed to be Wu Culture or Jizza Pro Tools as well. That ended up being like a Think Differently Lost File track, which Bronze never signed off on. So I think we remixed that for Bronze as the album we did with Rock Marciano a year or so back. So there wasn't a lot of Lucy's. And then a lot of like people didn't really understand like the totality of my involvement until they noticed that from that album, I never stopped. Like now I'm averaging like 15 to 20 projects a year, albums, EPs, singles, whatever it is. But for years I caught a lot of flack. Like you were just the A&R admin. You're just a paperwork guy. Like it was way more than that. That's just the credit I got. Like, you know, there's been plenty of projects that my name's not included. Like, and it's usually a Wu-Tang thing. I don't really usually have that problem with anyone else, but you know, to each his own. Like I over credit on the projects that I'm in charge of, because even the person that does the slightest thing, that means the world to them. 150 some albums deep and the credits still mean way more to me than the dollar. I'll make money every day. I want to, like, the physical product, like this lives on for a lifetime. When my daughter is old enough, she's going to inherit a fucking cassette collection of 5,000 some cassettes, a CD collection of 10,000 some CDs, 1,000 some vinyls. I hate to be the parent that's like, here's my hard drive. It makes no sense to me. That gives the child no appreciation for the art. So that's why the credits on the physical product mean so much to me. And I've really had to fight for a lot of these credits. Like, and I've ended relationships for not getting the credits after the work is done. But I think a lot of Wu-Tang fans, hip hop fans, period, understood M80 really is like the worker bee behind all this shit. Like, and I don't mind, like, I can be the leader, I can be the soldier. I will always play my role. I try not to ever overstep the boundaries, and I have, you know, like, artists that, I appreciate when artists tell me straight up, like, you're doing too much right now. Or maybe you're not doing enough. Maybe you're putting too much of your eggs in this basket where you need to take some of those eggs out and spread it around. So that's the beauty of it. I hate having to, like, have regrets after the fact, because a lot of times people suck at communicating. I got like friends all day that, you know, I check in on. Are you good? They check in on me. Am I good? Kind of shit. Like it's serious out here. And it's really unfortunate that like, I hate the communication boundaries. Like I really appreciate when I get on a call with Corrupt and he can check me if he needs to. Or we can just have that talk. It doesn't always have to be business. I have a lot of these talks with Cannabis. I have a lot of these talks with Chino XL, with Crooked Eye, with Planet Asia. And that's why those are the people closest to me. Because it's not just about, okay, what are we doing now? What's the next check? But back to the main point, fans from the Wu that I gained outside of me being M80 the rapper, because Wu-Tang Culture was the first A&R project. Eventually, after say 4 or 5 years of the album, where it's really understood that, okay, this dude's fucking working. Then Dreddy went through a long like string of just these bootleg mixtapes. Like every mixtape was some bootleg shit. Like Ray and Ghost United. Ray and Ghost were fucking furious. Like they didn't get $1 from that. A D'Angelo mixtape. Who the fuck gave you authorization to a D'Angelo mixtape? Like, you know, they weren't just like street tapes. Like he was selling these shits, like selling them. You know, like when you saw like Gangsta Grills, that's like authorized. Like Lil Wayne's working with DJ Drama. It's official shit, you know? So then people really started to understand, okay, M80 probably had a greater stake in this than we were giving him credit for. Then Dreddy released Wu-Tang Culture 2, or Think Differently 2, whatever the fuck it was called. And, you know, that did a probably 0.1% of what Wu-Tang Culture of the original did. So, you know, I like, even though Dreddy and I don't see eye to eye and we haven't spoke in probably since like 08, this helped change my life.
I really love that album. It means a lot to me. And thank you for answering so thoroughly. When we had Bronze Nazareth on the show, he said something similar, like, you know, that album really kind of in terms of his career trajectory really set him on that path.
It like I said, Dreddy and I don't work together anymore. Priest and I don't talk anymore. Bronze, because of that record, Bronze and I have worked together every year since then. What it comes down to when you're working with someone over the course of 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, it's about the quality of the person you are, dude. That's what it comes down to. And Bronze clearly is a better human being, in my eyes, than the latter. Okay? And, you know, like, we know each other's families. We put money, bro, after, I think the first thing we did after Wu-Tang Culture was Bronze did a verse. Oh, sorry. After Wu-Tang Culture, after Great Migration, Bronze did a verse on my album, Himself and Street Songs. And I was really nervous to ask him because I wasn't asking a favor, but even asking, like, even when you're paying someone, like, it's, you know, like, I didn't want to overstep my boundaries. You know, like, the first time after meeting Priest and Dreddy and Jizza and Rizzo, people like that, my first trip to New York ever was to work on my album, The 11th Hour, where I had like a couple songs with Priest and Rhyme Fast and Desert Ease and people like that and Dreddy. And it's like, even then, it's not about the money to me. Maybe it's just some of them, maybe it's just about the money, but it's like, does the shit make sense? You know, was it meshing to, you know, and then again, so even though, like I said, Priest and I aren't money buddy and shit, like, that was big for me. Even if it meant nothing to them. Like, that was my highest selling solo album. It helped me, like, I was doing shows for like $3-4 a pop, which is fucking nuts in comparison to the fact, like, local artists now do shows for free or like for 50 or $100 or shit, you know. So, like, I see the beauty through all the fuckery. Like, Dreddy will never work ever. But like I said, that album is a shining star for me. Priest and I don't have any desire to ever make that relationship right. But I'm not going to pretend like he didn't fucking put me on with the Clan. And like, he didn't include me in the making of 6 or 7 of his albums and helped me travel the world and shit like that. Like, it's like, I'd be crazy not to. I love his family. I don't have to love that guy, and I don't have to, like, wish that there's a future. But I'm very happy through the fuckery of everything that we've accomplished and everything I will continue to accomplish. And I will never forget my origin story.
The origin story. Thank you. No, thank you so much. I mean, by the way, I want to say, like, we've got questions here, and you are literally answering these questions before we even ask them. I'm just letting you know that. Like, you're good at this, man.
Just one more point on that. It really fucking, like, kills me. I don't know if that's the right word. It irks me. It pains me when you see artists or people talk like, no one ever did nothing for me. I got it out the mud. It was all me. And that's never true. It's never true, dude. Like, people just don't want to, like, take, like, you saw when Eminem gave his, like, Rock and Roll Hall of Fame speech and thanked, like, damn near every influence he's ever had in his life. That's me. I'm that person. Like, fuck with you, don't fuck with you. Thank you for helping me do this. Thank you for this. Thank you for teaching me this. Like, even though, like, I teach my A&R seminars every Tuesday and give game, there are other days of the week I'm, like, needing game from others. I don't know it all, but it's like, you'd be insane to think you know it all and cut off people that can provide you this knowledge. Like, Rizzo wasn't teaching courses on how to be the best executive. I learned from watching. People hate me for saying this. One of the biggest lessons I learned from working with all these artists, because they're all older than me. I'm 41 now. The average artist I work with now is 50 plus. Okay. And I'm trying to get back into, like, finding more 20 and 30-year-olds and stuff like that. But, you know, it's still busy with me. But the main thing I learned is what not to do fiscally. Because a lot of these dudes never touched money like, you know, MC Hammer did. But a lot of them fucked it off like the well was never going to run dry. So that's one of the things I watched. Like, and let me save my money. Let me spend money where necessary. Yes, I own some lavish shit. I'm on my 4th Maybach. It's pretty fucking lavish.
Don't get shit.
You know, but my daughter is set up. Retirement fund is in place. That kind of stuff. And it's like, when I have an exceptional year in business financially, I take that with a grain of salt. Because I revert back to all my other tax forms and my yearly accounting statements. What is my average year? So that's what it is. And I think a lot of people don't live like that. And I'm very fortunate that I do. And not to discredit those that I learned from, But it's like, thank you. Like, someone's got to fuck up. Someone's got to go through the trial and error of it. So, teach me so I can avoid the error. And I'm sure I've provided the trial and error for a lot of people that watch me. Like, I learned from your Steve Rifkins and your Rick Rubins, your Leo Cohens. Now, this fucks people up, and it's not me being a megalomaniac or egotistical. To those that watch me, perhaps I am your Rick Rubin. Perhaps I'm your Steve Rifkin. If you're younger than me, you get it? You weren't there for that era. You're there for what's going on now in M80 world.
Yeah, I agree.
Now, I have a responsibility that's far greater than me because people need to learn. Like, I know so many people, oh man, I got presented with this whack-ass record deal contract, blah, 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 blah. I ain't signed in that. Like, I'm just going to keep getting better with time, see what happens. I'm like, send me the contract. And I'll look at it clearly with the knowledge and the experience of seeing hundreds of these over the years. And I'm like, wow, you definitely should have signed this. Like, what do you mean? Like, they think because what they see on TV that everyone's supposed to just get millions of dollars. Like, when the reality of it is, if you're a product, like when you're offered a contract for millions of bucks, it's for one of two reasons. One, you're already putting up the numbers to show that you're worth that money, but chances are you're not. Chances are it's the label taking a chance on you. Like, remember Cray Sean? Remember that? Yep. Okay. Cray Sean got like a $2-3 million advance budget for her shit because they thought that, everyone loved that Gucci, Louis, Fendi, Prada, that song. I still love that fucking song. But the point is, that's all they loved. Her album came out the first week, it did like $3,000 in sales or 3,000 units. One of those numbers. That's far from making back millions of bucks, right? And that was it. So it's like, a lot of the label heads aren't investing just crazy money into what's talent, like I said, was indicative of the golden era. Because they did that in the golden era because they could recycle the same marketing plan, put you on the same tour cycle, the same promo cycle. And then you do that for a couple of years, then drop your next project and we're going to release that. It's the same program over and over and over. That was Baby Grand Records to us in the 2000s. Whether it was Wu-Tang, whether it was Dipset, whether it was Jedi Mind Tricks, same one sheet rollout, same marketing rollout, same fucking budgets. Make it happen. Like, it didn't matter. There's no individuality to any of those projects. I've literally had them sign 6 figures worth of deals without ever hearing a single second of music. It's just, what does this one sheet look like? We can win off of how many famous features you have, how many famous producers, blah, blah, blah. But, fuck. I hate when I lose my
No, you're good. You're good. I think there's a lot of things that you're saying that would resonate. Go on.
So, now, you're not getting you're not getting these $1 million deals.
Mm-hmm.
Like, most importantly is, what are the percentage splits? I was brokering a deal for weeks. Sometimes it takes months. Like in the service packet, I usually say it takes 3 to 6 months on the shopping side of it because labels they move at their pace, not how you want to move, unless you're like literally that high in demand. So we got to the final point of the deal. We agreed on the money. But ultimately, we didn't agree on the percentage splits. Now, for an artist that makes money, like they sell, they have a sales history, they make touring money, they make, like licensing money, the money's irrelevant. You make money. It's about how much you make per unit, how much, you're going to see on your physicals, how much you're going to see on your digitals. So the deal was killed. We spent weeks negotiating it, getting it to the point, and we got to the money point. Like I said, that's so artists just see how much money am I getting right now. And labels, if you over ask for the money, they think that you don't believe in yourself. You don't believe in your product. So therefore, maybe we just don't sign you. Let's see what you do on your own for the next year or two. So a lot of these artists that don't have the knowledge of what you should be seeking in a record deal or a distribution deal are shooting themselves in the foot when they're really being presented with great deals. But, I saw this guy got $10 million. They wanted to give me $500,000. Bro, I've only negotiated a handful of $500,000 advances in my 18, 19 years. Like, you're fucking crazy. You stop pretending like you know what it is. All right? And that's, so there's so many elements to that, but I'll let you guys get back on the question.
No.
I care that much about seeing people do the right thing. I hate. I tell people, if I have to care more about you and your product than you do, chances are it's not going to work. because I'm going to get mad at you and then we're going to fall out.
Facts. No, I think, look, money management, generally speaking, when it comes to entertainers, athletes, is a big problem in itself when it comes to hip hop culture, and it's permeated from tribe, right? Industry, rule. It's from that point onwards. We've gone from that point onwards to where there's distrust, there's the stealing, and you need people like yourself with the know-how, with the experience.
You know who never gave me any shit? Not once, never.
Who?
Rest in peace, DMX.
Yeah,
we're together for like 4 years, 5 years. DMX's last ever Instagram post was for me. Whoever took over social media deleted it, which it was for the merch. Like, we had the leftover tour merch. We launched it like 2 weeks before it passed. And then, of course, it went crazy. But I'm pretty sure the family got more bread from me than the big bulletin Kanye West gives $1 million to the family. That shit went to pay all those expenses and stuff. So that was a very misleading headline. Never once gave me shit, dude. Super good guy. I love that, dude. I got artists that I have to like yell at and be yelled at every day. Not once with DMX, ever. And like, we didn't, like, even though we worked together for like 4 or 5 years, it was very far and few. Like, here's a show, here's a feature, here's a video shoot. Like, I tried to broker this. They wanted to make a movie out of Damien. That would have been fucking awesome. Shout out to Adler Music Group. Shout out to Foundation Media. That was a 7-figure check that we left on the table. That sucked. But never, just all good experiences. And I can't say that about a lot of the artists I work with. So I'm very proud that I can say that with my experiences with DMX, who wasn't always painted in the finest light.
No, he there's a lot of mistruths about DMX, but those who know him and those around him will tell you he was the most kindest guy in the world, always looked out for his people, and always wanted to do the right thing. Even from you hear the stuff when he was an actor on movie sets, and how he just have his friends just come over in Canada. Like, you hear stories about DMX and you just know that he had people's interest at heart, even if those didn't have his on the other end. We'll get back to the music very quickly. Which way I want to go with this? If you had the opportunity, right? What albums would you have A&R? Let's take 50 years of hip hop. If you had the opportunity, if it came to you, albums are done, what albums, let's pluralize it, would you want to have A&R'd? Given, you like this rap shit too.
I think it's easier for me to answer, like, what artists would I have liked to work with, maybe that I haven't. It's probably easier.
Let's do that.
I'll try to answer them both ways. I don't know, and again, it probably never happened, but I would have loved to say that I worked on a Scarface album. Always been one of my favorite artists. Always. One artist that I've never worked with that I think I can work with and will in the future is Exhibit. An album if there's another Wu-Tang Clan album, I think I should definitely be a part of it. I think I've proven myself from doing all the records, from your Killah Priest to your Timbo Kings to your 60 Second Assassins, your Bronze and your Wiseman. Not to say RZA didn't care, but it's like, clearly those weren't top priority RZA records, right? To working my way up to doing Capadonna albums. I did the A-side, B-side for Master Killer Selling My Soul. There's a Master Killer album called Balance coming out that I A&R the single for. I don't know if I can talk about it, but that album's dope as shit. To doing work on Jizza Pro Tools, to executive producing a Ghostface Killer album. And now here's this. I don't know how people are going to feel about this or not, but they said, okay, well, Ghostface is in charge of the next Wu-Tang album. That sounds awesome in theory because we all love Ghostface albums, right? I think the best Wu-Tang Clan album in the year 2023 moving forward would only be if it was executive produced by Raekwon. I feel very strongly about that.
I agree with you. By the way, I agree with you on this. I agree with you wholeheartedly.
I think Ray, I've seen all their business, and Ray, I think, is the most business savvy. gets the job done. I mean, dude, look, the best Wu-Tang related album to come out in the past, like, what, 10 or 15 years? To me, it's not even debatable, is Only Built for Cuban Links 2.
Agreed.
Who made that? Raekwon. You give that man the fucking crown and let him run and make the next Wu-Tang Clan out. If RZA doesn't want to, of course. But arguably everyone's least favorite Wu-Tang album is A Better Tomorrow. So do the exact opposite of that.
I'm putting my hand up, by the way.
And then we could potentially have an album that ranks as good as 36 Chambers, as good as Wu-Tang Forever.
Raekwon's ear is incredible. He knows how to put albums together. He he's an MC, so he can help, with any rewriting.
And he has a solid team around him. Shout out to Sue, shout out to Don, and it's like, and Brief, and everyone's just on point. So that's how I feel about that. But I would, of course, want to be involved in a Wu-Tang Clan album. I like that. There's that, Involve me, don't. I worked on a couple sessions on A Better Tomorrow, then didn't end up making the album. So I'm not fucked up about that. Like, but I love A diagrams. I love fucking the W, all the shits. I'm just not a super big A diagram or a Better Tomorrow person. But man, I'm definitely trying to convince people, like, no, just keep listening to it. It'll grow on you. And they're like, bro, I ain't listening to it 50 fucking times. I like it.
I'm going to be honest with you, MAE. I'm a Wu-Tang head, innit? Like, I buy it. If it's got Wu-Tang on it, I'll buy it. I bought A Better Tomorrow out of loyalty.
Yeah, of course.
I bought it and I listened to it and I had to say something in my soul. I whispered it to myself. I've never said this publicly. I'm like, nah, this ain't it. This ain't it.
It's okay. These things happen.
Bro,
these things
I'm saying this publicly.
They do happen.
They do happen. It happens.
And that's what sparked the conversation originally. Well, maybe we let someone other than RZA executive produce the next one. And hence they were branding in the press that Ghostface was going to do it. Now, when I was making the Lost Tapes and why I say that Raekwon should be in charge for the next album, to give you some insight, when I was working the Ghostface album and meeting with Ghost Manager, a few times he played me like beats they were considering for the album. And I'd look at him and his face would be lit up like, yeah. And I'm like, no. And I don't think that would happen with Ray. Because I remember sitting in a couple studio sessions with Ray when he was doing, what was it, Wu-Tang versus Shaolin or Shaolin versus Wu-Tang?
That album was great.
And then playing beats and I was like, yeah. And they were like, yeah. And that, like, when everyone's like, yeah, that's what it is. But when I heard some of these beats, I'm like, we're considering these for the next Wu-Tang album. Like, no. Like, I wouldn't use these for anything.
I don't know what it is about Ray. And maybe it's his rooting. He loves R&B. And maybe that has a good grounding, a good foundation because of the rhythm, the groove. I don't know, but he just knows how to make...
the answer.
Go on.
Raekwon is an example of someone that has experienced the highs and the lows, but at his core, he still cares. He genuinely cares about what he gives to the world. That's why you don't just get a Raekwon project every year. Like, he cares. Like, when he released, for whatever reasons, people have a lot of speculation as to why he just dropped like 3 records in a row, like Cuban Links 2 and what was it, The Wild and Fila, I think was the other one.
Mm-hmm.
Like, but they're all great to me. They're all different. They're all quality. But if Ray still cares, I know all of them don't care like that. So because, like, and that's why people respect me as an A&R. You don't see me dibbling and dabbling in television and film. I've had offers. I still genuinely care about being the best A&R. I want to do the most, not the most albums, the most quality albums. Yes, I want to build that stat up. I want to say I had 50 Billboard Top 100s, or I want to say I had 20 gold and platinum plats. Who wouldn't? But at the same time, I'm just not throwing my name on anything and everything. It has to make sense. I'm very proud of what you see on the walls behind me that extend all the way into my fucking halls in my house. So Ray cares. And he would give Wu-Tang Clan, in my opinion, the best album.
Chris, go ahead, man.
Boy, I mean, listen, man. Listen, my inner Wu-Tang child is very excited. I just want you to know that. By the way, mate, you were talking about you got a lot of lavish things, right? I saw a picture of you and you had this Wu-Tang jacket, had the W on the front. Like, I need me one of those.
those are Raekwon jackets. Ray did those with A-Life. I had, and this was awesome. So I live in LA. They were only sold at the A-Life store in New York. And I called my friend Bridget and I said, look, I need you to go to the store. And she's like, is there going to be a line? I'm like, probably, but you can skip it. It's like, so go and get me the jacket. It'll be on hold for me. You can literally just pick it up, blah, blah, blah. And yeah, so they sent me one and I ended up getting a second one. And I gave the second one to Cannabis. Because Cannabis saw me wear it and he's like, that's the coolest jacket ever. I mean, it looks like a bulletproof, fucking like Batman suit, you know?
That's why I want it.
Yeah, so I gave my second one to Cannabis. I don't know if you could even find anyone selling that online. It's like as rare, if not more rare, than the RIP ODB jacket. And I ended up selling that to somebody. But I wore it in the famous video with Redman where he tells me I'm his light-skinned brother and shit. But so Bridget gets there to the A-Life store. She's like, dude, there's a line like a mile long. I'm like, just go to the front. Tell them you're with M80 and you're picking up a shit. And she's like, oh, that was easy. All right, great. Yeah, like in and out kind of shit. So
Shout out to Bridget.
That jacket's fucking sick. Now, you saw the jacket I just got?
No, we got
the Outcast one. This is the Outcast one, right?
Look, yes. All right, look, the tags. The tags are still on this bitch.
Oh, that's hard.
This is an original Outcast leather. Outcast clothing company, 2003, dude.
That's fire. That's fire.
Yeah.
Wow.
I can't figure this out now. Yeah.
So those on YouTube can just see. Those on YouTube who we watch this on YouTube can see what's in the inside of the jacket, and that is absolute fire.
Yeah.
Fire.
Yeah, dude. That was a nice bonus. I'm like, oh, sweet. Okay.
I want to talk about another album that you worked on that I really love. A Moment in Time. Talk about the first Almighty album, Original Sin, and just the concept of putting that project together. And I have to salute Higher the Height. Is it Handle the Heights? Keith Murray, Cannabis, Bronze. Listen, when I heard that on the Baby Grand website, I said, I'm buying that. Sandbox Automatic, if you know what time it is, you know what time it is.
Sandbox Automatic.
Talk to me, M80, putting the album together.
I have one sibling. I have an older brother. When I played him Handle the Heights, he goes, who produced that? I said, Bronze Nazareth. And he knows who Bronze is. He's like, he gave you that beat for this? Like, couldn't believe it. Like, he was just so taken by that beat, which we all were, of course. I will tell you this. I was fucking furious. So there's a song on the Almighty album. It's called Now or Never. It's featuring Solomon Childs. It's produced by Calabar 7. Bronze, when he gave us the album master, swapped that beat. I had never heard, like, you know, by the time an album goes to mastering and you're making the project, you listen to it like 50 times before you get the final version, and another 50 times before the fans ever hear it. So Bronze, there was a different beat, and Bronze said, yo, Ghostface wants the beat. I'm like, no, Ghostface can't have it. It's for, but you know, like when you get a check from like Ghostface or RZA or something like that, like, you know, like it's substantial. So I'm not about to like match a Ghostface offer or whatever the fuck. But Ghostface, you know, all these years later, never used it. And I think Bronze, it came out somewhere. I'll have to find it, but it was so hard, bro. So when you'll go back and listen, when I find it, you'll go back and listen to the acapella, whatever, Now Never, throw it over top and be like, oh, okay. But I was not happy and I couldn't digest the song with this beat I never heard on it after listening to it a different way for, you know, months. But Almighty, the idea came like this. I was running the MySpace page for like Priest, for Think Differently, for like all these artists. In the MySpace days, we were killing it. And I was in law school, but like between people writing to book shows or get features for the albums or fucking get like promo drops before Cameo was, Inspector Deck used to tell me I was the drop king. I'd always be around. I'm like, I need a drop for this. I need a drop for this. I need a drop for this. Like, just like, for why? What no one understood. But it was like, okay, you know, I'm getting brand for this shit. Or it's for a project I'm working on. So I lived in Indianapolis after I graduated from law school in San Francisco. I graduated in like 2007 and moved back in January 2008. Priest lived in LA. Every time I'd get him feature work, I would then fly to LA because I just love to go to LA. Like, I mean, I live in Indiana. I'd love to go anywhere. You know, and have him do the features and then be like, hey, can you put a verse on this? and just, throw him a little extra bread on top of the fact I'm giving him all the money and not taking cuts from the other people's shit. So Priest did, I think he's on 10 tracks, if I'm not mistaken.
He's on a few. I haven't got the CD with me.
He's like, he was the marquee artist of Almighty. Like, yeah, it's my brainchild, but you're the one that's going to fucking walk these dogs. So I was going to LA, and Priest is doing a couple joints at a time. Then I hit C-Ray's Walls. And Walls was managed by my mentor, rest in peace, one of my 3 mentors. Rest in peace, Rod Miner, DJ Indiana Jones. So Walls loved the idea because he loved Priest. All right, cool. So then Priest does all his shit. I send the references for everything, and then Walls does his shit. Then down the road, C-Ray's ended up living with me for 6 months. But then 5 Star was a protege of Inspector Deck. He's in a group, Desert Ease. Desert Ease was featured on the 11th Hour album. So I had a relationship with them. We run in a similar circle doing shows in the Midwest between Michigan and Indiana and Illinois and shit like that. So we still talk to this day. So then, 5 Star lays all the verses. Sun One was my protege that literally when I was recording hymn songs and street songs, I lived in San Francisco, but because it was cheaper to record in Indiana, I flew back to Indiana, did that whole shit. He was just at the studio when I got there one day. And I'm like, you rap? He's like, yeah. I'm like, rap for me. He just blew me away. So literally, I'm like, what do you, he just finished a session. He was waiting for a ride. I'm like, put a verse on this. And the first song we did together was me. It's called Revolution. Me, Tragedy Gaddafi, and SAS, which was a reggae artist, not to be mistaken for the SAS in London, right? And then, so that made sense. Make Sun One a part of Almighty, so he has a record deal, and then can parlay the situation into a solo deal, which never happened, but that was my thought at the time. And then Bronze Nazareth. Me and Bronze had the relationship, and of course, I wanted him to produce the bulk of the album. I wanted him to rhyme. The only crazy story that people don't know, I've talked about it a couple of times, but usually people just tune it out. The last ever time I went to LA, Priest had to do 3 songs. That was it. We're done. I'm there for 7 days. Plenty of time for us to go party, to fucking get drunk, to holler bitches, to record, and go over what else he's working on. So during those trips is when we also worked on Behind the Stained Glass. The Offering was fresh out, so Priest was riding a wave. Priest's name was mentioned in a lot of the same highlights as Lil Wayne. People are like, what the fuck are you talking about? Lil Wayne was dropping mad material, which inspired Priest to do the same thing. So The Offering was literally, Priest hasn't been so popular since Heavy Mental. And then we got Almighty. So I felt great about the positioning of the album. So the first day we go to the studio, he knocks out 1 verse. I'm like, sweet, 2 more to go. The next day, knocks out the second verse. 1 more song, baby. We got 5 days to do it. Third day, go to the airport. I'm like, what are we doing? He's like, I got some artists flying in that I want to sign. I need your help, signing these people. I'm like, okay. They're called the Vendetta Kings. I'm like, all right. You're going to sign them to Proverbs Records, which was, I always laugh because Priest has never, there's no artist on Proverbs Records. Just like there was never any artists on Jizz's label, Liquid Swords Entertainment, or there's no artist on fucking Ghostface's label, the Starks Enterprise or whatever the fuck. Riz is the only one that ran a successful label, You know what? I take that back. Raekwon has Ice Water H2O and clearly did great with Capone Noriega. So we picked these dudes up from the airport. We go to the studio. I'm like, all right, here's the last song. I'm paying for these fucking sessions. Priest, however, these guys just are taking over the session. And it's like, Priest, listen to this. And Priest's like, all right, I'm going to write to this. I'm going to do this for them. And it got asinine, bro. It was really fucking annoying. So, we lose the 3rd day. I think the 4th day there was no studio at all. We were just hanging out and shit. The 5th day, We go to the studio. Same shit. Nothing. I can't remember off the top of my head what the last song he was supposed to vocal that didn't happen was. But the 6th day, so I'm only there for there and another day. We're at the studio in Orange, California. And I'm like, Priest, you have to do this record tonight. He's like, I will. Okay. He starts writing to it. Started writing. I watched him. Okay. The fucking beats playing. These Vendetta King dudes hold the same shit. And I'm beside myself. They're like, yo, man, Priest, do this. And Priest literally stops writing to this record. I'm like, yo, all right, I'm not biting my tongue anymore. With the bullshit, I'm paying for the session. You're getting paid. Do this record. He's like, don't talk to me like that. I'll do it. It'll get done. I'm like, no, now. Get the fuck out of my face or we're going to fight. I'm like, let's fight. The whole fucking studio moves like chairs and like he gets up and then this is he's throwing punches. I'm fucking dodging this shit like Matrix bullets, bro. And Priest is 3 fucking times my size. Okay, he's 3 times everyone's size, right? Thank God. We're on down in heaven. We lock hands. He pushes me back to the wall. All right, like the whole control room in the studio is moving. It's shifting. We lock hands. I do this. And all I hear is him go, fuck. And he leaves. He leaves the room. And everyone's like looking at me like, what the fuck would you do? Like, you pissed him off. I'm like, worried about if I pissed him off. He and his friend Tiffany, rest in peace, get in the car. The Vendetta King dudes go with them. Another dude that was there, this guy Naphtali, I think, goes with them. They all leave. They left me. And I'm like, oh, okay. So I'm staying at Priest's house. And Uber is not a thing. Taxis only exist. I call a taxi. How much money is it to get from Orange, California to Manhattan Beach? That's like $150. I'm like, I have $20. What? Okay. So the studio guy was like, you got to get the fuck out of here. Where the fuck am I going to go? So I walk for like a mile, maybe 2 miles, and I find a 24-hour Denny's. I'm like, thank God. I can hang out here until I figure it out. I walk in the bathroom at Denny's, and I see I got a little blood coming out of my face. So he never landed any punches, but he had nails. He scratched me. I didn't feel it at the time because the adrenaline's fucking through the roof. Scratched me, and I went, cool, all right. Eventually, I got a hold of this dude, Novocaine. Thank God. He was in a group called like American Poets, him and Pro the Leader and other people. He came and picked me up at like 5 a.m, drove, and he knew where Priest lived. Because I couldn't tell you. Like, I don't think I've memorized the address. I'm directionally challenged. Always have been. Took me to Priest's house. The fucking front door was unlocked. Or no, I called this other dude, Priest lived with, this guy named Polly. Polly unlocked the door. I went to the guest bedroom and laid down. Priest came in the guest bedroom like 8 a.m. He's like, what are you doing here? I'm like, leave me alone, dude. Fuck off. Priest and Tiffany go out to breakfast the next morning. And she's like, what you did to M80 was wrong. Like, one, he's like a kid. Priest is like, what? He's like, M80's younger than all of us. He's like 20. And Priest is like, oh, I always forget that shit. And he's paying for the time. These dudes you want to sign aren't that great. And Priest didn't sign them. But I think they ended up doing a project together. That was a nice consolation. Which also calls shit. That's a whole other story, though. And then, like, M80's paying for all this. Like, you chose to, and that's one of Priest's problems. He's so friendly and nice that, like, he doesn't care about money. Like, he's not business savvy like that. He's like really like, have you been talking a space cadet with a tape cassette player? Like, that's him. Just fucking go with the flow kind of guy and see what life brings you. I'm not that. I'm more meticulous and calculated and shit. So he apologizes to me the next day after Tiffany finally put ration in his head. But he came back to the house and he had a fucking the metal sling on the finger, and he's like, "You broke my finger, you dick." I was like, "Dude, I had to do something to not get killed." So I was like, that means I won the fight, right? I got a scratch and you had a broken finger. So that was our ongoing joke. Like, I beat a priest. I wanted to fight with a priest. That would clearly never happen again. But fucking, who's to say? Anyone can win in a fight. It doesn't matter how big you are. It's really about how much you want to win the fight. Like,
and then when that adrenaline goes off as well.
Yeah.
When the adrenaline goes off, like I've seen small people put some big people down, and you're like,
I'll tell you this. A few months back, it doesn't matter who or what. This is funny. An artist punched me in the face. Okay. And then called a few people and told them, yeah, this is what I did. And I was laughing, and he's like, "Why are you laughing about it?" I'm like, "Bro, but you are humongous. You punched me in the face, and I didn't fall over. My face looks exactly like it did before you punched me." I'm like, I'm laughing because if you're calling people to tell them, and you didn't knock me the fuck out or put me or knock me unconscious or kill me, I would have kept that to myself. It's kind of embarrassing, actually, when you think about it. And they're like, looked at me like, you could tell for a second it kind of like understood what the fuck I was saying. I mean, yeah, so there's that. But sometimes you got to go there. I mean, I've had to fucking pistol whip a few people in my day. I've had to bro, I had hundreds of weapons in my house at various points in my life. Like, so everyone and funny, it's priest, the fall of a priest is super unfortunate because he's the only one who knew, like, bro, maybe he was in prison. And maybe did this, like, oh, and the other people are like, no, like, yeah. So it's like, don't get it fucked up because you see me all happy-go-lucky when I'm doing my internet shit or super like business savvy. Like, that's the side of me I choose to give you at that time. Yeah. Like, but Priest was around me so much, like, we go on tours and be like, bro, yeah, you're the M80s here racking up higher bitch numbers than we're getting. We're the damn headliners. Like, I did a whole tour of Planet Asia where that was the most ongoing joke. I'm like, bro, you're the headlining act, and I'm destroying you with numbers game here.
I'm not gonna say anything. Yeah. I'm not saying anything to that. I am not condoning any. I'm just here.
We're just here to listen to the stories. That's it.
Just here to,
man. Give them, dude. Like that's the best part of it. But no one ever questions like, "Oh, is this going to be this real story?" It was like my brother one time, who's the closest person to me. He's like, "You have so many stories with Dave Chappelle. I don't believe it." I'm like, "Why? Why would you not believe it? Like, there's about like us hanging out at Chappelle's house or us doing this." So one time, Dave Chappelle comes to Indianapolis. I'm living in LA at the time, and my brother worked for Live Nation. So after the show, all the Live Nation people got to meet Dave Chappelle, and Dave only likes strip clubs, so they all went with Dave to a strip club. I think it was the Red Garter in Indianapolis, and my brother sits down next to Dave. It was like, "Hey, amazing show." And Dave's like, thank you very much." It's like, "I have to ask you something. It's been eating me up inside for years. I need to know." It's like, "What do you need to know?" "My brother has all these stories about hanging out with you, and like talks to you and like kicks it with you and shit. And I believe all his stories because he works in music and does this, but I've never believed any of his stories about kicking it with you." He's like, "What's your brother's name?" It's like, M80. He goes by M80. He works with Wu-Tang. I'm your brother. Call him right now. So Steve calls me, puts me on the phone with Dave. He's like, "This is your brother?" I'm like, "That's my brother Steve." My brother said he gave him like $1,000 and told him like, he like sit down next to me at the stripper row and throw the money. Like the last time I was at a strip club, I was with like a few rap friends and shit. And I had a really good day of business to the tune of like 50 grand. So I spread the love and shit. So I totally identified with Dave's graciousness to my brother. But my brother was like, "I will never doubt you again." Like, okay, all right, we're good now. There you go. My brother and my parents have my brother works in music. My parents don't, but they've got to, ride the wave for a lot of the coolest moments of my life. Like, my 28th birthday party fell on a Tuesday in Indianapolis, and I promoted concerts and shit for many years there. I had Snoop Dogg, Dog Pound, Red and Meth, and Devin the Dude perform in Indianapolis on my birthday. for like, we hung out with Red and Meth all day, had lunch, went shopping. Then at night, my parents, my brother, my friends, my brother's wife, all got to meet Snoop. Get him, go on the bus, meet him, like get their pictures and shit like that. Me and Corrupt had drinks and shit at the bar. The whole family's there. And Red and Meth bring me on stage and wish me happy birthday. And like, thank God someone captured that on film. So it's like, they've been there. Like my dad's met RZA and GZA and the Clan, and like my dad released a book and you got released a book. So watching the two of them talk about their fucking respective books was fucking awesome. My mom was like, like my a lot of this is what meant the most. Like artists like Priest and Cheeto XL and Ice-T. Like when my grandma's favorite person in the world was Ice-T. She loved, him as the actor. So like I got Ice-T to like talk to my grandma on the phone all the time. When we toured the Midwest, I would bring these famous rappers to my grandma's house and they'd hang out with her for the day. So like, that's cool shit. It's so much deeper than just like, let's get some bread together.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Chris, I've got one question. Final question. If you want to go, you go.
No, I'm good.
We got more speech here.
So this is more reflective, and you may have touched upon it already. But what would 2003 MAE tell 2023 MAE?
Okay, what was I doing in 2003? I was fresh out of prison. I was prepping the 11th hour and released it, and I graduated college and was getting ready to go to law school. I honestly can say that I've lived my plan from then to now. So without having to sit here in silence for 5 minutes and be like, okay, think. I think I've literally did everything I potentially could have told myself. I made sure to finish school. I made sure to never put myself in debt. I worked various odd jobs when I needed to, when student loans weren't there for school. Like one of the happiest things ever was I finished law school in 2007. I think I paid my student loans off like by 2013, 2014. So no student loans. Didn't really go like use credit cards and shit crazy, which is like obviously because in the taxi situation where I was stranded, if I had a credit card, I could have clearly paid for the ride, but I had $20 cash on me. So that wasn't going to happen. And hold on. I got to finish that story. Priest never did the last verse. So there was a song Priest did called The Almighty. It was supposed to be for Behind the Stained Glass. It's the last song on Almighty Original Sin. I took that fucking song, put it on Almighty. And it made sense. It was a song called Almighty. And so Priest has a solo on the album, Bronze has a solo. But because I paid Priest for that fucking verse he never did, I'm like, I'm taking this.
Was he upset with you?
No.
Okay.
I mean, he should be more upset with himself. That was that. So, yeah. That was the end of that story. He never finished whatever the last song was supposed to be. So I think it might have been the Killah Priest song. I don't remember if Priest is on there or not off the top of my head. Maybe he is. One day I'll figure it out. I'll go back and listen to the album. But so I think the most important thing would be just if I was, whether I'm talking to a former me or anyone that's at home that's going to listen to this, just whatever you want to do in life, if there's any business element to it, whether it's artistic or not, like it's still the music business, you know? Whether you're a good writer and you write books or a good painter and you make art, like there is still the business side of it. So even if you don't think like traditional schooling is for you, you still have to do anything and everything you can to master the business side of whatever your artistic pursuit is or whatever your non-traditional, conformist pursuit is. And a lot of people, if you don't take the time to learn, you will be taken advantage of. And it's super unfortunate, but that's the way the world works. And the bigger sharks feed on the lesser, I would tell myself to not be so like reactive. Like you can clearly tell how passionate I am about this shit by the way I speak. Like sometimes I do these interviews and I start crying. Like I'm literally like that passionate about whether it's something I've done in the past or something I'm going to do, knowing how impactful it can be or will be or even means to me. Like, that's why like I say, and like, I still care about how great this shit is. I'm not just throwing out a cannabis record every month because I need I don't need the fucking money. Like, I want the fans. I'm trying to make up for not working for cannabis for 5 or 6 years. That's why the fans are getting so much product. I feel bad about it. Like, we fell out, and it's one very rare occasion of where it's like, I'm willing to make this right. Like, I will never make things right with Priest. I will never make things right with Dreddy Kruger. I will never make things right with C-Ray's Walls, which is a whole other hour-long story. But, like, cannabis, sure. Me and Tragedy were cool, and Tragic Gaddafi, cool, not cool, then got cool again. Like, we still do work together every sparsely. But, you know, like, example of, like, I think that, you know, a lot of people just looked at me like a fucking lick. They didn't realize that I had all this ambition. I had all this drive. And maybe it was because, you know, hey, here's this white dude. Or maybe it's because I came up under Dreddy Kruger and people looked at him like a fucking, like, okay, here's this guy. You know, so it's like, you're guilty. Maybe I was guilty by association. But now that people clearly see all these years later, I mean, we're talking, a lot of these people met me when I was on year 1 or 2 from the business side of things to year 20. Okay, shit, this dude rose up in the ranks. Now I need to look up to guy. It's crazy. I try to keep everything with this equal footing, but I got so much going on in my day to day. I don't have the time like to bark on people, you know? So it's like, I would have told myself not to be like, you know, like, you could dismiss, people aren't going to like you. As Eddie the rapper, I needed everyone to like me so they'd buy my shit. Like, become a fan of me. I'm a good person. The music's good. And I never realized at the time, but maybe I just thought I was so fucking good because I didn't have the greatest competition. You know? I came from the Midwest, dude. Like, I was getting on all these big shows because at the time when I started rapping, there was like five rappers. So we were all getting an opportunity. There was not this thing where you throw a rock and hit a rapper. That's what the world is now. Like, Rhymefest was the top shit. The first time I battled Rhymefest in a public battle, I beat him. So it's like, okay, I'm like, you're the guy that was like comparable to Eminem? I just beat you? I can fucking take Eminem. Like, you know how that works with your mental? Like, so I thank God that I lived in San Francisco and New York and LA and won in the hardest cities there are. I'm talking about financial hardship. Like, those are the most expensive cities in America. I made it in all of them. That's the dexterity it takes to, like, okay, you can accomplish anything, you know? Just tell myself to be as business oriented as possible, not sweat the little shit. Cause in hindsight, it's all little shit, bro. So as the artist, you need everyone to love you to buy your shit. As the A&R, who the fuck cares? You're not buying. I mean, some people do buy the product because they see my name on it. Like the Capadonna album we just did, the Third Chamber Girl Bars, was Cap's highest selling record in like a decade. I pushed the fuck out of that because it was more about me. If that album charts, it'd be my 40th Billboard Top 100. I'm telling all my friends, buy it. I know I don't usually do this, but buy it. For real, I'm calling people like, buy the record, texting them, buy it, not just social media posts. And that sold phenomenally. So I don't need people to like me as the A&R, so I can talk more shit. I can be more dismissive of people. And my wife and I just talked about this the other day, but her input was like, you know, with the exception of Indiana Jones, rest in peace, my mentors that are still alive and well are Andrew Barber, a friend of mine who I was there from day zero of his company. I was there when he was like, I'm going to call it Fake Shore Drive. Boom. I did his radio show when he was in college in Bloomington, his M.A. the Rapper. People called in to freestyle about me over the phone, like that kind of shit. But my other mentor is Brian Shafton, and she's like, I wish you were more like Brian. But Brian's an OG, like Brian, triple OG at this point, executive for Priority, owner of RBC, VP of Urban at BMG, now launched a new label, Compound Interest. The first thing he did for me, got us that $100,000 billboard in Times Square, the biggest one on the top of the police station for free.
Wow.
Like, we don't have that fucking pole. Be more like Brian. Brian's not as like out there publicly as you, but I had to take more of a P. Diddy approach to my job to separate me from the pack. Because the reality of it is there's thousands of A&Rs. There's thousands of music executives. But the more I P. Diddy the shit, when someone asks you, you know any A&Rs? Yeah, there's this guy M80. My name comes up in the conversation because you see me. I'm active. Ryan doesn't have to be, and I had to explain this, he doesn't have to be as active because he's responsible for No Limit, for The Chronic, for fucking, like, you name it. Big Al, Most Def. Like, when you have those kind of accolades, yeah, the work's just going to come to you. I still, like, every month, my financial cycle starts over. So it doesn't matter if I have $10 million in the bank or if I made $100,000 in the month prior. I literally take care of my bills and pretend that I have zero. So I am that hungry where I try to, like, I got to survive. I literally block out my reality that I'm fine. The reality is I could stop working and be straight for the next 15, 20 years. That isn't fucking reality. So I started the retirement account now. So I can plan for the fact that I'm not going to be telling you to buy rapper verses from me in my 50s. I'm not doing it. I'm not going to be yelling at artists and chasing them to do what's best for their livelihoods when it comes to their work. I'm just fucking doing it. I want to teach. I want to write books. Like I wrote the cannabis book sold out. The Cannabis Disaster Battle book sold out. The book I wrote about fucking dicks made more than I make on some of these albums. Hold on, wait. This shit made $20,000 fucking dollars. Famous dick pics. My bad against Pink Night in the Third. I almost had a publishing deal with Urban Outfitters for this shit, yo. I had Stormy Daniels, the porn star, at the forward. This is a great book. This shit
I've never seen that before.
Famous dick pics. So everyone's like, bro, I'm not buying a fucking book of dicks, fucking naked dudes in it. I'm like, it's not that, dude. I wrote this shit during COVID, bro. I got a certificate from Harvard during COVID. I didn't know a lot. I really maximized my time. It's about famous people named Dick, Rick, and Richard, drawn as penises. Drawn in like funny fucking like penises and shit with funny like sexual biographical blurbs that I just made up in my head.
Yeah, so you're different. You're different.
Yeah. But bro, like $20,000. This shit made 20 G's. The Cannabis book made like $22,000. You know, like all good. And the crazy thing is, Cannabis and I weren't even working together then. Like how we made the Horses. Like the Horseman album helped us like bridge the gap and get back together. But like if Cannabis would have helped push that fucking book, god damn, we could have made like $100,000. Like, okay, here we go. Richard Henry Dick Pole. Okay, this is a real person. All these people are real people.
And you did a whole blurb and a okay.
Yeah, so I'm just gonna read you this one. All right. And here's his picture. Okay. I had an illustrator draw these pictures. That's why this book took so long to do, because someone actually drew all this shit. For around $10 American, you get the rare 1976 Boston Red Sox Topps baseball card autographed from the legendary New Zealander Dick Pole. For a man such as myself who orders his favorite pizza from Chicago and favorite chili dogs from Ohio to Los Angeles, perhaps my concept of the value of $1 isn't the best in the world, but I would assume such a precious gem would be worth somewhere in the ballpark of a cool million. Mr. Greatest baseball player name of all time, Dick Pole, pitcher, wasn't really all that amazing on the field. He played in the Major League Baseball Association for a total of 5 years between the Boston Red Sox and the Seattle Mariners, and his career nearly ended in 1975 when a line drive struck him in the face. His career highlight was literally pitching to Reggie Jackson, what would become Jackson's 300th career home run in 1977. I contacted many friends and living family members of Dick Pole to see if there were any amazing stories about young Dick slanging that famous MLB dick to sexist female jersey chasers in the hippie era of the 70s, and unfortunately, there were no tales to be told. Serious fucking letdown.
Yeah, you're different.
There's
That's all I can say.
That.
And that made you what, $22,000?
20. I made 500 copies, $40 a pop. They cost me like 18 and change to make because it's a real fucking hardbound, fully colored book, bro. They all came autographed and numbered. Oh, yeah. I kept. I think I have like 6 left.
Wow.
Yes, but dude.
Okay, so you've lived a life.
A few lives.
A few lives.
We didn't really even doubt. I mean, we talked about it briefly with Almighty, but Like, I lived all my rap dreams as an artist. I'm in the Guinness Book of World Records for rapping. 4 of my own albums were on the Billboard Rap Top 100. I played in every state in America and like 3 countries internationally, Switzerland, Germany, United Kingdom. Like, there was not a whole lot left for me to do. Like, now that I have like all the resources in the world, the only thing that would be cool if I could make one more of my dream song would be with Redman and Ad Rock from Beastie Boys.
Okay. To make that happen.
Here's the thing. I've never met Ad Rock in person, and I know Redman personally. Even though I've never met Ad Rock, I think it's easier for me to get his verse than Redman. Redman is a super stickler on features. And that's why you don't see him on any of my records. Like, we didn't even get a Redman verse for the Undergods, which came to Ski Murray. We talked about it. Instead of money, he wanted a Rolex, and the Rolex he wanted was cheaper than what the label was going to pay him. Which, by the way, that label, I wish they were still around. They had infinite budgets for us.
What label was that again?
Which label was that?
It was called Sound Records in Seattle. We recorded in the same studio as Dave Matthews at Soundgarden in Urbana. What's that? Shoreline, Washington. It's a castle. We lived there. One half the castle's the studio. There's a video on YouTube of me like doing the tour, and the other half is the living quarters. And there's runners. They prepare all your meals. Like, yeah, it was amazing.
I haven't heard
there's a secret door that leads out to the beach.
Did they put out the Project Lionheart project as well?
Yeah. That's wow. Yeah, Project Lionheart. And I had them do the instrumentation with Bronze's beats for the 67 Assassin album.
Wow. Yes, that's right. I love that album, by the way. Love that project.
What's crazy is that label passed on, they had the opportunity to sign Slaughterhouse, like before he won, they didn't. They had the opportunity to sign Macklemore, it didn't.
Oh, because he's in Seattle as well, of course. Yes.
Yeah. Maybe if they did, they may still be around.
Yeah.
Yeah. See, it was like, there's a lot of people, and I'm thankful for these people. I don't knock it. Like, if you're passionate about like doing something, then do it. But these people ran like the world's most successful like debt collection agency. So they had money to play with.
Right.
And they love music. So that's like, let's test our hand as a label. They definitely were jaded, because like, I should be the most jaded person in any room. I've seen it all, done it all kind of shit. But they were jaded off the rip because they wanted to sign this one artist, and he definitely should have taken the deal and then like ended up like stealing from them or something. Then I came in the picture and brought him Bronze Nazareth. And then like this is how we like finessed Baby Grand, even though they like ended up fucking everyone. Baby Grand wasn't giving Bronze his money for School for the Blind Men, I think it was. And so and they weren't giving him the money for Thought for Food Volume 2. So we just ran a press release that like, we left Baby Grand. Like, if we could leave if they weren't paying us our options in our contract. So options always have guaranteed amount of money next to it. If they don't give you that guarantee, then you can walk.
Right.
And they have first right refusal. If they're not paying it, they refuse. So I took all the artists to Sound Records. We all did the deals. We all got the money. Then we dropped this press release. Baby Grand's like, whoa. What's this new label? What you like? We want you. Okay, give Bronze 100% of his money, and we'll give this label their money back. So of course, Baby Grand does that shit. They give us all the money. I still did Almighty 2. I did Almighty 2 with RBC, but they definitely wanted to hold on to Bronze, the wise men. So Sound Records was mad because they thought I kind of like played them on that shit, like used them as a chess piece. But I didn't want to use them as a chess piece. I was super content with doing the records with them. Baby Grand was just like willing to put up the, it didn't make sense, but whatever. So we did shit with Baby Grand still after the fact. That was it after that. Then the VP of Sound Records, this dude named Noah, was kind of like playing executive. Like, he'd come in and bring like his bitch and shit, like, oh yeah, so these guys are recording raps for me, making an album for me. And like, we need him to like focus and be serious about the shit. And he'd be like, all right, guys, I'll be back tomorrow. Like, literally pop in for like 50 minutes. I grabbed him up one time by his neck. I'm like, yo, like, get back down here, bro. Don't ever, bro. Like, so they instantly fell in love with me. putting hands on the fucking dude cutting the checks. Not the smartest play in the game. They were pissed off at Cannabis for not doing all the press for Undergods. I mean, dude, Undergods was on BET, Shade 45. They were making the rounds. We had a nice publicist press budget. They were mad that I got him to like front the money on the 60-second Assassin records without really realizing that the guy was like a 50-year-old band. And they were just sold on like it's Wu-Tang. Like, okay, we want to have some association with Wu-Tang, which is how it goes sometimes. Like, motherfuckers just want to be associated with shit. And I mean, I can't knock the next band because I was probably once that person.
Yeah.
You know, I wanted to do this ideal for Almighty to be part of that family tree. Me and RZA just had a talk about this literally last week. Like, it was a really good talk, actually. I'm really happy we had it because I'm not a disciple of RZA. You know, all these different Wu-Tang dudes came up through somebody, but ultimately RZA's got to like co-sign the shit at some point.
Yeah.
And RZA's talk with me is like, he brought up the movie, I think it was like the 36 Chambers movie. He's like, even the monks had to spend years in order to get the attention and the approval of the abbot. Once that happens, then the abbot had to come to the monk to be like, okay, like this bond has been made. Like you are the student. He's like, I think you and I kind of skipped that. He's right. We did it. But he also said, he's like, I don't know if you put in the work. I kind of feel like you skipped the mop and the floors part and the doing this part. And like, you know, I thought about that the longest. I told him, I don't think I did skip that. I think me working essentially the records that people thought you would have always been the one to do. Like, for instance, Dreddy Kruger and Timbo King were royal family together. Dreddy is the main executive, quote unquote, for Wu-Tang Culture, but never made a Timbo King album. It took me to do it. Speaks volumes, right? So for me to do Timbo King, 60-second Assassin, all these Priest records, Cap records, I think that was me, for lack of a better term, mopping the floors.
Right.
Doing the wax on, wax off like Daniel son of Mr. Miyagi. And I'm glad to know that at least you acknowledge me and my work and respect it. We don't have to. Now, Riz and I talked about we were going to do a Bobby Digital record together. It didn't happen. There's a completed Bobby Digital 4. So there's that, you know.
Wow.
There's tons of RZA records that
I can imagine.
Just on Dre, bro. Like,
yeah.
So.
I can imagine. Well, I'll tell you what, let's end that. We will save the London stories for part 2 sometime. Because I'm sure we can we'll have you back.
Live from London.
I mean,
we
that's
would love that.
Always
love
an
that.
opportunity. Yeah. Let's do that. I
really enjoyed this conversation, bro. Thank you so much. What,
there's a tour in the works. I think it's like only 5 or 6 shows. I know London's all there. I will be there. You guys will be my special guests. And yeah. I mean, I already know you're fans of both artists involved in this tour.
Let's do it.
So we're going out this year. We're going out this year. So I'm breaking Atoms and M80.
I don't go out anymore.
I'm bringing M80 to Harlesden, bro. We're going to go have Jamaican food.
You know the label Dope Media, right?
Yeah.
They're based in London. So I am, to date, the only one who's ever released an album of Dope Media that's physically met the Dope Media people.
Wow. Okay.
So you got your West Side Guns and Benny's and Conway's and Big Ghost and I'm the only person that went to London and I was like, I want to meet you.
That's dope.
Listen. They did so great with me in the Ghostface record. You know, we're talking about doing another project, and I respect them, and I like the fact that so I was like, let's get a picture together. The guy's like, I don't do that.
He don't do it. Yeah.
And it's not like he's famous like Maynard James Keenan of Tool, who didn't start getting into the public eye until the past year. You know, hence all the different outfits and costumes and shit. But I respect that. That's your anonymity. Snoop has a videographer that travels with him, everywhere he goes. His face is not in one fucking photo. That's No, doper, great quality. I got a lot of love. They got a lot of my money, so you know, I can't be mad at that. But no, did you buy the Ghostface? Say again? Did you buy Ghostface lost tapes?
No, I bought that one. I've got it.
No, because it's sold out.
Yeah, it's sold out.
You gotta remember.
So listen, that's what fucking I disrupted their shit. They're always doing small runs.
Right.
So Husk Kingpin, fucking Cocaine Beach. There's like 1,000 units total. All the original West Side Gun pressings were like 1,000 units total. They'd never done more than say 51 pieces. For Ghostface, I was like, we have to have 7,000 vinyls. They're like, that's not limited. I'm like, it's limited for Ghostface fan base.
Yeah.
Like 3,000 CDs, 500 tapes. And that's why, so that didn't sell out. I think there's like literally on the website, there might still be like 40 vinyls left. There's still, like, I'm going to get a check this week from it.
I mean, if there is, I'm going to do it, but usually with dope, it sells out within like a minute, right?
So
like,
then after they tested the waters with these bigger scale, the bigger scale release like Ghostface, now the West Side Good drops have like 5,000 plus vinyls. But of course, those still sound today. But Ghost didn't do promo the week of the release. He was mad at me about something and purposely didn't. And then that guy, people hate me on any given day. You never know. And then of course, I know why. It's because I used stock footage to do the Buckingham Palace video. Like Benny and Spesh and Crook and I all shot their shit right exact. But Ghost was not being like, it was because they were Wu-Tang had shows to do and I couldn't get him scheduled. And I'm like, I have to do what's best for my investment. You already got all your bread. You don't give a fuck. I need to protect my shit. I still got to pay people. And myself. So yeah, he was mad, didn't promote the shit. And then the week after when he saw people, like literally the top song on Ghostface is like Spotify, the most streamed song was off Lost Tapes. So he's like, how is this possible? I have classics. He didn't appreciate the record and my vision for the record. It probably still doesn't. I know the people that work with him fucking hate it. Like they belittle the album every chance they get because it was made by me. Which makes no sense at all. Like, you can give me my fucking props, dude. I'm up there now. Like, it's okay. You don't have to pretend like you hate me because I'm the fucking white guy. But, like, bro, I gave Ghost an album that had a single with Snoop and E40. Ghostface's favorite artist is Big Daddy Kane. And I'm Kane on the fucking album.
Kane is the best. What more do you
want, bro? The beats are hard as shit.
Yeah.
Ghost purposely taxed me because he didn't like the idea of doing the album with Big Ghost. He's like, wait, you want me to do an album with the guy who pretends to be me? Fuck that guy. I'm like, no, you don't understand though. It's genius. All right, let me hear the songs. He loved the fucking beats.
Yeah, Big Ghost is dope. Big Ghost is serious.
Friend of the show too. But I honestly, if I would have had Bronze Nazareth, that's why I did the remix album. That's why I did the remix album. Because Ghost, like, they taxed me probably extra 50 racks because he didn't like the idea of Big Ghost and Big Ghost. But nice, with that knowledge, with knowing what I had to pay out, and plus, get the shit made, there's more expenses than just paying Ghostface. I knew that it would still win. I was willing to, sure, bro, I'll pay the extra money. But I knew if I was, say, Ghostface, Bronze Nazareth, I probably could have paid like 50, 60, 70K less.
Yeah.
And I funded that whole shit. So that's why that album means so much to me. And when I hear fans like shit on it, I'm like, you don't get it.
I really enjoyed it, and I love the dope.
Bro, I got Tricky on the album. Tricky.
Oh yes, you did. And DMX. That's right. Is DMX on it?
No, but I got Tricky on the motherfucking album. People have no idea how big that is.
Yeah, no, DMX was on the King Crooked and Bronze Nazareth. I got that mixed up.
Yes.
Yeah, I like the way you did the whole Supreme Clientele with the font and the black and white. I thought that was dope.
Listen,
pun intended.
The shittiest part is that his manager made me call it the Lost Tapes, which I was like, no, that's fucking stupid. The original title for this album was Clientele Supreme. Why? Because every song has features. Clientele, features, guest artists. It made sense. No, you can't eat off the brand like that. So they didn't want me to win how I fucking knew I could win. Calling it Clientele Supreme puts it out of here. That on Dope Media would have sold out the fucking first day. Calling it the Lost Tapes, I literally had to go into 10,000 interviews and be like, Jesus Christ, let me make some shit up. Like literally, and like freestyle the shit. Ghostface decided to call it the Lost Tapes to be reminiscent of that Supreme Clientele only built for Cuban Link sound. I had to say that shit over my head so many fucking times. Knowing it's like, God damn it, dude. You literally are trying to fuck me by calling it the Lost Tapes. Nas' shit's called the Lost Tapes when it's like throwaway records you release. Tupac's unreleased shit's called Lost Tapes. This is a brand new studio album. Ghost recorded all that shit in real time. All the features in real time after Ghost finished. But now people are going to think it's like Nas, like it's like Tupac. Hence, they're not going to buy it. They're not going to come out in full support. I'm not buying a Lost Tapes project. I'll stream it first if it's dope. Then I'll buy it. But I'm not just throwing my money at it. That's the ethics of that. And then, yeah, so it was a funny situation. But again, I knew that I could still win with the expenses, even with the bullshit title, The Lost Tapes. I had to pay extra money to do the remix project and call it Ghost Files. Because no one, they didn't, the label that signed the remix project, they're like, we don't want the Lost Tapes. Like, you want us to give real money? I'm like, oh, it's a brand new album. It's called the Ghost Files. So, thank God I had to negotiate the fuck out of that. That's saving my ass. Yeah, I got stories for days. We'll do it.
Sorry, I'm not laughing at you.
I feel you know how like you know what we should do, mate. I'm gonna be honest with you, right?
We should do one.
Do you remember
one
Chappelle? Do you remember Chappelle show when Paul Mooney would come in? So we need to do that with you. We need to do like a rap version of like we speak to you about a certain project and Paul Mooney gives his background to all that, but like in MAE style. We need to do that.
Yes,
that's what we need to do because that's hilarious. Plus, rest in peace, Paul Mooney too.
Yeah, he was a very funny man.
I used to say, like, you know how there was that like era where Lord Jamar was on Vlad like every fucking day? And like people, you know, the younger people just, who's this Lord Jamar guy? I said for every 10 interviews Lord Jamar did on Vlad, he should drop like one new song. You got to have some kind of ratio balance.
Right.
But of course, never did.
I tried to reach out to Lord Jamar yesterday. Speaking of Lord Jamar,
I sat in on a couple sessions on the 5%er album.
I love that album. Okay. I love it.
I don't remember if it was. I think it's the song with Raekwon, because you know RZA and Ray. I think Jizz is on it.
Yeah.
But the version that I approved had Ray going first on the album. There's a lot of shit like that. Like so, it's also called, but they just switched the order of the MCs. I really love the song with RZA. I love that beat.
Deep Space.
Yeah, Deep Space. I was there. I remember the last time I was there. I think it was Valentine's Day in Italy or somewhere around there. But they did On the Corner, and that was my favorite shit.
Yeah, I'm going to pull out the album.
And Grand Poobah was there. He was at that session.
Grand Poobah.
That was cool.
Yo, shout out to Lord Jamar, man.
Yeah,
legends,
I love that
man.
guy.
Legends. We love them. So look, let's get the hell out of here. We appreciate your time.
For sure.
Thank you. I appreciate yours time.
You just let us know when you're in London, when you're coming down. We'll grab a drink, have some food. Chris could take you to Harlesden. That's okay.
I'm taking MA to Harlesden. We're going to go have Jamaican food.
Lawrence took me to the Soho House. And they brought out this giant iron goblet, like a fucking tin with the goblet.
Right.
I was like, what is this? He's like, it's the special drink. You'll love it. I was fucking wasted when I left that place.
No, M80, we're not doing that. Listen, we're going to go somewhere. It's going to be.
We should do that.
I mean, we can do that, but we're also going to do brown paper bags, plastic cups.
Yeah, we can do that too.
We're going to do that.
Wow.
Dude, I ended up finding I was walking down the street with my wife and our friend Kara. We found a casino. I'm like, let's go to that shit. And it wasn't like I'd been to the big casino in London, like the popular one. This was some like back alley shit. I'm like, let's go in here. It was all Asians. I'm like, this is awesome.
Nah, well look, I don't drink, so you guys can drink for me.
I did a year sobriety. I started drinking again last April at the Grammys.
Right.
And it's funny because I guess like the day before was April Fool's. So I'm like, I'm getting wasted all weekend and we'll run up like a $10,000 bar tab. And everyone's like, oh, April Fool's. And I'm like, oh, I'm serious. I posted a video. I'm like, oh shit, bro, you should. Like just 2 days ago, you're like, I have a year sobriety. I got sober so I could make a baby. Like, because we were having issues. Right. And sober, boom, got a baby. So clearly it worked. And got healthier and shit. But that weekend I ran up, we had the Snoop event. I ran up like a $6,000 bar tab that fucking event. But I made like $18,000 that weekend between my work with Snoop. And I predicted the outcome of this North Carolina Duke game, like the over-under and who was going to win. Right. And I told people like, bet this bet. That may be like $5,000. And so I was like, I had a basketball game cover a bar tab. Like, great.
You're up. Let us know when you're down. We'll catch up.
Yes.
It's been a pleasure. Like Chris said, I thoroughly enjoyed it.
I really enjoyed it.
There's a lot of gems. There's a lot of funny stories. There's some seriousness. This interview has it all. So we appreciate you, man. Let us know if you ever need anything. Just holler and we'll got you, bro.
I can't wait to see this live, dude. I'll make sure everyone goes and, checks it out. Thank you, guys.
Appreciate you, man. Thank you, man. Peace.
All right, have a good one.
All right, peace. Take care.
So that was M80.
Bro, I'm going to be honest with you.
Mr. Markov.
I really enjoyed that conversation. I thought I knew him. I didn't know him.
Yeah, see, I thought, I would absolutely agree with that. I thought there's, I see M80 stuff. I watch his A&R clinic sometimes.
Yeah.
I've seen interviews with him in the past. But I felt like he gave us stuff that he's not given, some stuff he hasn't given to anyone before.
Yeah,
and I think it was just the fact that he felt comfortable and he felt like he could share that with us.
Yeah, man. M80's going to come to Harlesden, bro.
Yeah, I like that, man. That's good.
Bro,
that's
I'm going to take him to the barbershop and all that, meet Tyrone and all that.
Oh, yeah, he would love that. He would love that. M80's going to love all that.
Tyrone will be like, who's this? I'll be like, yo, just Wu-Tang, innit? Wu-Tang. It's Wu-Tang.
Nah, we appreciate you, M80, for joining us. And that. Chris, you got anything else you want to say before we head the hell out of here?
One more thing, bro. I just want to say thank you to the Reddit community. When we were away on our break, the Reddit community, the hip hop threads really championed us. Like, my wife was showing me threads on Reddit where people were asking about what are the best hip hop podcasts with interviews of legends, who should I listen to? And our names, Breaking Atoms Hip Hop Podcast, came up a few times and she was sending me pictures. So I just want to say thank you to the Reddit community for your passion, for sharing the work, for talking about us. It's dope. One day we'll probably sign up. Well, I know I'm going to sign up. I'll kick it with you guys. But I just didn't know that we were being spoken about on Reddit until my wife showed me. So I really want to thank and big up that community. It means a lot.
Wow. So we on Reddit?
Yeah, like, I mean, people mentioning us on Reddit, sharing links. It was really uplifting to see. And because we were away, we live in a society and a time where, when you're not seen, you're forgotten about. But the fact that people kept talking about us while we were away, asking, when are we coming back? DMs, where you guys at? Come back. I just didn't know Reddit was talking about us like that, bro. So I just want to thank the Reddit community.
That's humbling. We appreciate you. Always, always, always. This is about the listener, and about me, and about Chris. This is about hip hop culture. We loved it. We love each and every one of you from everywhere around the world. We do appreciate you. If you want shout outs, holler at us on our socials and we'll do that. But no, thanks for Chris. And also to Roxy as well, man. I wouldn't have known that. I did not know that whatsoever. So
now she's been on Reddit for other things, and she just typed in Breaking Atoms one day, and
it's a great place.
Yeah,
for information. It's a great place to get information and to communicate, and also throwback for us. We love that forum. We grew up on forums, right?
Yes.
So it's part of our lineage. Like a Reddit thread is great. I find that Reddit threads, if I'm looking for certain things, I trust them for some reason. They're trusted message boards. So that's live. Listen, let's get the hell out of here.
Yeah,
let the listeners go. Let the listeners digest and soak up all that information and stories, bro. Because I'm telling you, M80 is just giving us stuff. You're gonna listen. Like, this is gonna be like a Rakim verse where you're gonna hear something and then rewind and go, "Did he just say that?
Yep.
Did he mention that?"
Yes,
album?
he did. Yes, he did.
And so this has got replay value.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, we appreciate you. So as always, you can follow us on social media at Break the Atoms. Chris's handle is at I'm Kinetic. Mine's at Hip Hop Chronicle. If you're watching this on YouTube, subscribe and smash the like button, because apparently if you smash the like button,
you're doing that.
Yeah. You have to smash it. You can't just click the like button.
Yeah, why does everyone say that?
I don't know. I'm obviously mocking it, right?
You're being facetious. All right, cool. No worries.
Facetious. I'm being magnificent. I'm being facetious. Smash the like button if you're watching this on YouTube. We've got more interviews on the way. We appreciate each and every one of you. Chris, thank you for your time. God bless you. God bless the listeners. And we are out. Peace.
Peace.